I'll get right into it. Supporting regional Australia, NBN actually focused on what we call underserved regions from the get-go to do our initial rollout. We've largely concluded our initial rollout as of about last year. The formation of my team was acknowledgement by our board and our management that we needed someone in the executive table who can actually have a voice for regional Australia. If I was here last year, I'd be saying about all the things we're going to do, about investing in, at the heart of our strategy is around, rather than having people sort of pontificating from the boardroom in North Sydney about what regional Australia needs, we'll have people engaging with communities and businesses in regional Australia. I'd also be talking about some aspirations we have to get funding up for infrastructure development in regional Australia and some sort of, we want to do some stuff for businesses. I'm pleased to say today that, you don't have to text in your complaints or some thoughts about how NBN can do a better job, because we've got people on the ground now in the region who I'd love you to meet right now. So if I can ask them to stand up on the back there. You've got Tom O'Day, who's a gas fella who runs NBN local team in New South Wales. Nicole Fosteris, Bathurst girl who looks after our community engagement. Now, she's not a call centre doing the job of a retailer, but is keen to hear from, if there's systemic community-based issues that we have with the NBN. She's here to help, and you should see the glee in her eye when she gets a problem. And Mayor, you'll be pleased to know that the man next to you, and we had a great meeting with the council yesterday, and they were able to share a couple of insights into where we need to do a better job around Orange, and that's what we want to do. Because if we were standing here saying, you know what, it's all done, we've moved on, I think that would be the problem. So I think it's less about lobbying at this point, it's more about engaging, and we can lobby together to make sure that we get the infrastructure that we all need. The other one who's on day 5, another Bathurst fella, Steve Bowman, that some of you may know, ex-Bathurst Council. Now he's looking after our engagement with businesses. So it's really to say, well, what can NBN do to best support businesses in regional Australia, in this case, in this region? And that stems from getting our basic connectivity right through to lifting beyond basic connectivity to support and amplify businesses like Craig's that are actually using the technology that we deploy. So make sure you get their business cards before you leave.
LinkedIn, we don't have cards.
Yeah. LinkedIn, there you go. Shows 30 plus years in the industry. Now actually, Bathurst City Life's not good. Yeah, so I could probably just sit down and send you a copy of Bathurst City Life. You ran a yarn on business fibre zones in the last episode, I think, it's the last issue. So thanks for that. But look, large investment, over $2 billion in our recent plan. It includes a few things which I want you to be aware of. One is there's about 1 million premises in regional Australia that are going to have an opportunity to shift from fibre to the node technology to fibre to the premises technology over time. Can't announce where that all is yet. The team's working that through right now. But that means that regional Australians in those areas will be able to access consumer-grade speeds up to near gigabit per second. And it's important for livability of cities such as Orange, for all the reasons that we've heard about today, to support actually a regionalisation of our population. Because why would you be in a traffic jam on the Harbour Bridge if you could be in beautiful Orange and surround? If you're outside of Orange, maybe a bit further out, served by fixed wireless and satellite services, we've got about $1 billion for those networks to continue the upgrade. So back to my theme, if we were here saying job done, I think you should howl us out of the room. But we're not. We understand that in telecommunications, our job's never done. And then here's something that we can do now: business fibre zones. That's really what I'm here to talk about today. In the main part, accessing technologies to enable businesses to embrace the sort of applications that Craig spoke about. I mean, Internet of Things. There is no business that's not going through the digital transformation that Craig talked about. So access to globally competitive infrastructure is mission critical to enable businesses to innovate and thrive right across the country, not least in regional Australia. But there's been traditionally issues for these kinds of services that they might not have been available in regional Australia. These aren't the sorts of services that you have at home, to enable you to watch Netflix or iView, where you're interested in the speed that's coming down from the network. Internet of Things, sort of applications Craig talked about, they require Microsoft Teams, collaboration, file store and backup in the cloud, the sort of online operational processes that so many businesses require now. There is no business that's immune from this. If you're what you might consider a welding specialist for ag infrastructure, ag machinery, ag parts, they're all using computer-aided design that require vast, massive files to be uploaded in the cloud. If you're a professional services organisation, solicitors, conveyancing, all in the cloud. So it's this uplink speed that powers business. So you need a technology that's fit for purpose for business and enterprise to attract businesses into Orange and also to enable you to grow. With enterprise level service level agreements as well. So in the past, you might not have been able to access these services. In the case of NBN, if you were, you might have to pay thousands of dollars to get connected. This is to build fibre from your location to the NBN network. Could have been thousands of dollars. And if you could do that, you would have had to pay more than a competing business would if they were in the CBD of Sydney. So what NBN's done is introduced 240 business fibre zones. 85 of those are in regional Australia, where you can access that fibre at $0 for the build cost. And the price on a monthly basis, bear in mind we're a wholesaler, right? So we sell to retailers who actually would sell to you. But the wholesale price, we've delayed. We're charging the same as that we do in the CBD of Sydney. Now, for somewhere like Ballina was in the Zone 3, now the consequence of being in a business fibre zone in Ballina is a cost reduction on a monthly basis of about 67%, so it's quite material. Orange Bathurst, many businesses probably a bit less based on the zoning, somewhere between 40% and 56%. So it's actually quite a big deal to support the thriving innovation that you folks represent, and also ensure that the Orange region remains, can access globally competitive infrastructure. And it's not just the CBD of Orange that's impacted. Usually I hate asking a question when you don't know the answer, but it's actually quite fun when I talk to businesses about it in regions. Let's go look at your address and see whether it's, you can see from the map there that it's quite a large part of the Orange region that's covered by business fibre zones. I might just pause on there for a moment just so Gavin can do it. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah. So quite a wide geographic area around Orange supporting business fibre zones, and across New South Wales, quite a chunk of towns as well. Now you may have noticed on a previous slide where I talked to a 50 million co-investment fund. Part of our recent operating plan, we announced a $300 million co-investment fund to support partnerships with state government. We talked about the grants programs across many jurisdictions earlier today. But we're putting $300 million on the table to partner with councils and governments and other stakeholders to push fibre deeper into regional Australia. And in respect to business fibre zones, we're putting $50 million on the table to work with councils and business groups to expand business fibre zones and create new ones. So, this is actually pretty good, and there's a simple call to action. This is available now. So you can visit nbn.com.au/business fibre, or you can contact your retailer. That's the other part of this. There's about at least 20 retailers that you can choose from to access these services. By virtue of accessing wholesale-only open access, we're also stimulating a level of retail competition in regional Australia as well. This is available to order now. Typically, our build would take 2 to 3 months. Look it up, and if you've got any questions for this group, have a chat to Steve and the team. Because Steve spent the last 5 days in our online learning, and he's now an expert. But obviously, he's got a big team behind him to help you out. If I could just finish on just the context of what we're seeing as a large organisation who's dealt with, as all organisations have, with the COVID epidemic, the consequences of needing to work from home. What does it mean looking forward? As an organisation, we pivoted very quickly to work from home. I'm in Sydney, but I use our satellite connection, the NBN satellite service, which is often much maligned. So I've been leading the regional business using exclusively pretty much that satellite service, and it's kept me through. So when people say you can't run a business using the NBN Sky Muster service, I disagree. Last night I caught up with Ian Jensen from Leading Edge Data Centres, who's got a farm 10 minutes north of town. He runs a very complex range of consultancies, it seems, using an NBN fixed wireless service. We're releasing some research next week. One of the things it'll show is a good proportion of people who have harboured a desire to unshackle themselves from city life and consider relocation, but it's only through the intervention of COVID that they've actually felt that it's possible. And you'll see organisations, ours included, that are changing the way they budget and the way they plan workforce. And I think you'll see Orange is right in the target for so many people looking to shift for lifestyle reasons and operate in a flexible working way that we now know is truly feasible. And the NBN and world-class, fast, reliable broadband plays a part to that. So thank you so much for the opportunity to come speak today. It's great to see people face to face rather than on a screen. If there's any questions, we'll be happy to hang around later as well.